you know that in steel structure you have to design connection properly, because you know that in RC structures we are not designing the connections, whereas in steel structure you have to design the connection properly, because if the connection is failed, then a major failure will take place, a catastrophic failure will take place. So that's why your connection should be strong enough to transfer forces from one member to another member or to the support. So that you have to ensure, uh, you have to design the connection in all respect, in all kind of failure you have to check, so that it transfer forces safely. Or you can say that in any circumstances connection should not be failed. If the connection is failed, then a major failure will take place. So that's why connection should not be failed in any circumstances. In any load, any circumstances, connection should not be failed. Now for the designing of connection, you have to follow the pitch. Okay, the pitch, what pitch you provide, that should be within minimum and maximum. Means the what pitch you give, you use, that should not be less than minimum pitch, or the pitch, provided pitch should not be more than maximum pitch. This should not be more than, the pitch provided should not be more than maximum pitch, or it less than, not less than minimum pitch. Now the guideline given in IS 456, the minimum pitch distance given. So you have to use the provision, you have to use minimum pitch, you have to follow the minimum pitch to design the connection. Now here the minimum spacing given in clause number 10.2.2, the minimum pitch distance given, which is equal to 2.5 times nominal diameter. In clause number 10.2.2, similarly the maximum pitch distance also given. This is 16 T. T is the thickness of thinner plate. Okay, if you use the different plates, then the maximum pitch equal to 16 times thinner plate. The thinner one you have to consider to calculate the maximum pitch, or 200 mm, whichever is less. So between these two value, the lesser value is considered. Similarly, and also the end distance. So when you design the connection, so in connection design, what end distance you provide, that should not be less than minimum end distance, which is given in code. Okay, which is given in IS 800/2007, and it's equal to 1.7 times the hole diameter. Okay, now and also you need to calculate the gross diameter, which is basically a hole diameter. In bolting connection, you have to make a hole on plate or members. So this hole diameter or gross diameter should be more than nominal dia, and this is equal to nominal dia plus clearance. And one thing you note, in welding connection there is no hole. Hole is not required, whereas in bolting connection, the hole, you have to make a hole on plate. So this hole diameter you have to calculate using the clearance, applying the clearance. So the clearance provision given in table 19. You see that in column 2, for different dia of bolts, the clearance given, you use column 3. This column you use to get the clearance. Now you see that here the range is given 16 to 22. The clearance is 2. If I use 18 dia bolt, so it means the gross dia is how much, or hole dia is how much? 18 plus 2 equal to 20 mm. So gross dia is 20 mm. So leaving the using the clearance, you will get, adding the clearance, you will get cross diameter, and the clearance provision given in table 19, page number 73. So here in clause numbers different, so the edge distance, maximum end distance given, maximum pitch distance is given. You see that here the 16T or 200 mm, whichever is less, in clause number 10.2.3.2. okay, and also the end distance, you see that here 1.7 times the hole diameter. okay, so the here all the provisions given in clause number 10.2.3.2, and you know that pitch, pitch is a center to center distance between the bolt, and this distance measure in the direction of force, whereas gauge measure perpendicular in the direction perpendicular to the force. Okay, so here you see that edge and end distance. Now the next I'm going to discuss the different type of joints, which are basically depending upon the arrangement of bolts, the type of joints are classified. The first one is lap joint. So when two plates are overlapped, so such type of joints are called lap joint. So this is a overlapping portion. Okay, this is a overlapping portion, and this lap, two plates are lapped together, and by bolt the connections are made. So you see that this is a front elevation and this is a plan. Now here the dotted line comes because this this plate is below the top plate, so this is a bottom plate. So on plan you cannot see this edge, so that's why, although this portion remain, but you cannot visualize on plan. So that's why this line comes as a dotted line. On plan it is appear as a dotted line, whereas this line, this portion is visible, clearly visible. So that's why the solid line comes. So that's why it is a solid line, and these portions remain, but it is on plan, it is not visible. So that's why this one is this one is represented by a dotted line. Now the bolts are used, so the tensile load is applied. So when the two plates are overlapped and the joinings are done, so this type of joint is called lap joint. Another joint is butt joint. When the end of the plates between, if you join the end of the plates, so that time the butt joint are used. So you see that this is a main plate using the cover plate. So cover plate are used. So using the single cover, the two members are joined, end to end joint. So here you see that overlapping portions are joined, and here end to end joint using the cover plate. So this is a single cover plate, and here the double cover plate. So single bolted, double cover butt joint. So the cover plate are used to join the members end to end. If you want to join members end to end, then you have to use cover plate, and such type of joint are called butt joint. So either bolting connection or welding connection, you can join the members. So depending on bolting arrangement, bolt arrangement, the different bolting patterns are used in bolting connection. So first one is chain bolting. So here bolt will be in same line and also in same rows and column as shown in figure 1. So you see that such type of bolting arrangement is called chain bolting, where bolts are in same line, same rows as well as in same columns. Uh, so this type of bolting is called chain bolting. Another type of bolting, zigzag bolting. When the bolts are placed in a zigzag pattern, you see that these zigzag patterns are used. Okay, zigzag patterns are used. So you see that when the bolts are placed in a zigzag way, this type of bolting is called zigzag bolting. Another bolting is diamond bolting. Here the number of bolt increase towards the center. Okay, so this type of bolting is called diamond bolting. And one thing you note, diamond bolting or zigzag bolting much more efficient than chain bolting. So when the in bolting connection, the different type of failure may take place. So one common type of failure is shear failure. Okay, shear failure. So you know the shear forces, so which is basically a tangential force acting between the plates, and due to this force the sliding take place or slipping took place. So here you see that the tangential force, the force is applied, tensile force is applied, so the tangential force is developed between this plate. Now this tangential force induced into the bolt, so and it will create a shear stresses. Okay, it will create a shear stresses. So here the free body diagrams are drawn. You see here the axial load applied. Now this force transmit to the transfer to the bolt. So and in bolt the shear stress is developed. So you see that this is a tangential force. Now in single shear only one shear plane is developed. Okay, here you see that in this picture the only one shear plane is developed, and which is this plane fall on shank portion. Okay, not in threaded portion. This shear plane fall on shank portion, whereas in double shear two shear plane are developed. You see that this is an example of double shear. So this is one shear plane, this is another shear plane. So one shear plane fall on shank portion and another shear plane fall on threaded portion. So that's why here the two shear planes are developed. So that's why it is called double shear, and here the one shear plane is developed. So that's why it is called single shear. Now again the free body diagrams are drawn. So you see that this axial force is applied. Now this force is divided in two components and equal to P by 2, because this force is divided in two plate. So and each magnitude is P by 2. Each magnitude is P by 2. Now this P by 2 force create P by 2 stress. Stress magnitude is P by 2. Okay, stress magnitude is P by 2, which creates shear forces. You see the free body diagram. Okay, so here is the two shear plane is developed. Now how we get the single shear? Okay, when the bolt is in double shear, two cross sections are effective in resisting the load. So here, so it is clearly seen that in single shear only one cross sections are effective in resisting the load, whereas in double shear two cross sections are effective in resisting the load. So that's why the bolts are in double shear. We will have twice the shear, and the double shear strength, which is equal to twice the shear strength of the bolt of a bolt in single shear. So basically, as the double planes comes, so the capacity of double shear is equal to twice of single shear. Now the expression of single shear, which is shear force, is denoted by tau, which is equal to applied force. P is the applied force by area of bolt, because the in bolt the force is induced. So the area of bolt are used to find out the shear stress, the cross section of bolt. So cross sectional area is pi by 4 d square, area of bolt. D is the diameter of the bolt, so P by pi by 4 d square, which is the single tau, the expression of shear force, shear stress. So this is in double shear. So one thing in this few points you note: in double shear the two shear plane develop, two shear plane comes, whereas in single shear plane comes, and the strength of double shear is equal to twice the shear strength of single shear. Now the bearing failure. So this is also one common type of failure, bearing failure. So here when the plate is weaker than, weaker than bolt, so that time bearing failure will take place, because you see that force is basically transferred to the plate. Okay, force is transferred because when the tensile force is applied, so shear stress is induced, and it will slip and it come to the contact on plate. So and the shear and the force is transferred to the plate. So this force is bearing force. Okay, and when the bearing failure will take place, when plate is weaker than bolt. And how we find out the bearing stress, which is equal to the applied forces P divided by projected area. Projected area means this is a cross section of bolt, the circular cylindrical section. Now this projected area is considered, where T is the thickness of plate and D is the diameter. So this approx area we have considered, this projected area is considered to find out the bearing forces. So this force is basically applied to the bolt, to the plate, from bolt to plate. Okay, from bolt to plate, and this type of failure will take place, the crushing failure will take place when the plate is weaker than bolt. So if the connected plate are made of high strength steel, then failure of bolt can take place by bearing of the plate on the bolt. If the plate material is weaker than the bolt material, the failure will occur by bearing of the bolt on the plate. So bearing stress is considered average stress. So here the average stress is considered on the projected area of contact. Okay, this projected area is considered which is on plate, the projected area is considered on vertical plane. So vertical plane is considered. So here the thickness comes and the diameter, the projected length is considered. Okay, this is D and this is T. So P by projected area will get stress. So this type of failure may take place, bearing failure. Another type of, so you see that in previous slide the two major failure we have discussed. One is shear failure, another is bearing failure. Now another type of failure may take place. This is a secondary, but you have to check. The primary failure of bolt are shearing failure and bearing failure, and the secondary failures are tension failure of bolt, tension failure of, so you see that here the shear failure of bolt, shear failure of plate, bearing failure of bolt. So either bolt may fail or plate may fail. Okay, if plate is stronger than bolt, so that time bearing failure of bolt take place, and it is vice versa. If bolt is if the plate is weaker than bolt, then bearing failure of plate take place. And due to tensile force, the tensile failure of bolt may take place. The bending failure of bolts also may take place. So when the bending flexural stress induced into the bolt, so that time the bending failure may take place, and the tensile failure of take place, tensile failure of plates. So due to tensile force, the rupture along this line, the rupture took place. So in this way the tensile force is applied, and due to these tensile forces along this line, the rupture take place. Next I shall discuss how to design of ordinary black bolt. So that I am going to discuss. Now you see that two type of bolts are commonly used in design. One is ordinary black bolt, and another is high strength friction grip bolt. Okay, the symbol of high strength friction grip bolt is the short form is HSFG bolt. Now when you design ordinary black bolt, so you have to calculate design strength. So and the design strength comes from the different failure criteria, so which I have mentioned in previous slide, which I have discussed in previous slide. So different type of failure, from different type of failure we will get design strength of bolt. Then and also the bolt should have adequate strength to sustain load. Okay, you see here bolt should have adequate strength, so bolt should be strong enough to carry the load, and bolt strength are computed from different failure criteria which are mentioned above. So now to calculate the strength of bolt, different strength of bolt, we use Codal provision. IS 800/2007 are used to calculate strength of bolt. Now different strength are computed. Shearing strength of bolt, so from shear criteria, from shear failure criteria, we compute the shearing strength of bolt. Bearing strength of bolt, So it comes, the strength is computed from bearing failure criteria, tensile strength of bolt. When the from tensile failure criteria, the tensile strength is computed, tensile strength of plate, and if the shear and tensions are combinedly acting and make and the failure take place for shear and tension, so in that case also you have to, from that, using that criteria, shear tension failure criteria, the strength is calculated, strength is obtained from Caudal provision. So using the Caudal provision, this strength you have to calculate. And so the question is, which is the, so you see that different strength comes, different strength are computed from using the Caudal provision. So which one is the design strength? So the answer is the minimum of minimum. The answer is the minimum of the what strength we have computed. So minimum is considered the design strength of bolt. So minimum is, least one are used to get the design strength of bolt, because the, if I use the minimum, then other strength also, other failure also satisfied. I mean the, it can, suppose the shearing strength is minimum, okay, so the bearing strength also automatically satisfied because it is more than shearing. Similarly the tensile strength of also strength of bolt also safe. So in this way the minimum has to be taken for the design of ordinary black bolt. So using the Caudal provision, you go to page number 75 and clause number 10.3.3. read the Caudal provision to find out the shear capacity of bolt. So here it is given that design shearing strength of bolt, design strength of bolt denoted by dV suffix DSB, which is equal to VNSB by gamma MB. Gamma MB is the factor of safety used in bolt. So this is a bolt factor of safety. So dividing the factor of safety, we will get design capacity, the design strength of the bolt. Now the nominal shear strength calculated using this formula. Okay, so here it is equal to Fu by root 3 into Na times ANB plus NAS into ASB, where Na is number of shear plane, number of, you see that here Caudal provision given, number of shear planes with threads. NS, number of shear planes without thread. ASB, area of shank, nominal plane shank area, which is equal to pi by 4 d square. Now A and B, area of threaded portion, which is equal to 0.78 times ASB, because the threaded portions has lesser area than shank area. So that is how much? So approximately it is it is approximately measured 0.78 times ASB. Okay, this is an empirical formula used to calculate area of threaded portion, because area of shank is known. So area of threaded portion is how much? as this threaded portion has lesser area than shank area, so area of threaded portion is use the empirical formulae to get area of threaded portion. Now in above figure you see that in this figure, so how many shear planes with thread and without thread. So without thread is represented is denoted by ns. So ns is how much? You see that here the one shear plane which passes, this shear plane passes through shank area, through shank portion, whereas this plane passes through threaded portion. So that's why Na is equal to 1, and number of shear plane without thread Ns is equal to 1 and Na is equal to 1 number of shear plane. So in the above figure you see that here Na is equal to 1 and Ns is equal to 1. And if you use the ultimate tensile strength of bolt given, so using this formulae, using clause number 10.3.3, using this formulae, find out the nominal shear capacity of bolt. Next, the design shear capacity. So here this value given, and the design strength is equal to nominal shear capacity divided by factor of safety of bolt factor of safety. So design strength of bolt is how much? Is equal to VNSP, nominal shear strength of bolt, by factor of safety for bolt. So the design strength comes applying the factor of safety, dividing the factor of safety, we will get design strength of bolt. So here gamma MB is 1.25. So from table 5 you see that two type of bolts are given: bolt friction and bolt bearing. So here the bearing type of bolts are used. So the bearing type of bolts in shop fabrication, if the fabrication is done at shop, then in factory, then the 1.25 is used, whereas if the fabrication is done in field, the same value is considered 1.25. Okay, so in case of bolt connection, the factor of safety for shop fabrication and for field fabrication remain same. Next we compute bearing capacity of bolt using clause number 10.3.4, table 5, page number 30 and 75. So table 5 is mentioned in page number 30, and this clause number mentioned on page number 75. So similarly the design bearing strength is computed applying factor of safety, dividing the factor of safety, and we will get design strength of bolt, design bearing strength of bolt. So design bearing strength of bolt is denoted by VDPB, the design bearing strength of bolt, and the nominal shearing strength of bolt denoted by VNPB, which is equal to, using this formulae, find out the nominal bearing strength of bolt. So here 2.5 times kb is the bearing factor that you have to calculate. D is the diameter of the bolt, nominal diameter of the bolt or shank portion, diameter of the shank portion. T is the thickness of plate. thickness of the, you see that here, thickness of the connected plate experiencing bearing stress in the same direction. Okay, so thickness of the plate into Fu. Fu is the ultimate tensile strength of bolt. So Kb is the smaller of E by 3d0, 3d suffix 0. E means end distance, E is denoted by end distance. You see that here end and pitch distance, and d0 is the hole diameter. P is the pitch distance, P by 3d0, d0 is the hole diameter. So if I use 16 dia bolt, then hole diameter is 18 mm. So d0 is 18 mm. So pitch P by 3d0 minus 0.25, or FUB by FU. FUB is the ultimate tensile strength of bolt, and Fu is the ultimate tensile stress of the plate. So here Fu is considered ultimate tensile stress of plate, and FUB is the ultimate tensile stress of bolt. FUB by Fu or 1.0. So which is less? The lesser value is considered as a Kb. So the following formulae you check, you compute these 4 values, and the minimum you consider, minimum has to be taken as a Kb. Okay, so you see that in previous slide we have computed shearing strength using the Kodal provision. So here we also compute bearing strength using the Kodal provision, using the formulae, where Kb is the bearing factor. So this factor is the smaller of all these 4 expression. And finally we will get design bearing strength, dividing the factor of safety, we will get design bearing strength of bolt. And similarly the bearing type of bolt, the factor is 1.25.